Good afternoon. This is a photograph by the artist Michael Najar, and it was taken in Argentina, and it's real. And I was introduced to this photograph recently at a TED Talk, and it's the perfect metaphor for our conversation today. So for starters, if you look closely at this photograph, it's a viz. And I'd argue that it's not much different than the Tableau vizzes that many of you have created before. And if you look closely, you'll notice the artist digitally reshaped the contours of the mountain to track the changes in the NASDAQ stock index from 1980 to 2010. The NASDAQ index is heavily weighted towards technology, so you can see up there the peak is a dot-com bubble. And the photograph was taken at a time when we were returning to post-dot-com valuations. And I'm sure if it continued, it would go way off to the right and we'd be building a new peak. Now, Brown Advisory is an investment management firm, and hidden in this picture is the foundations of technical stock analysis, which we use to make investment decisions on behalf of our client. But that's not the only metaphor. So the second metaphor here really is the journey. You can imagine the journey that the artist had to take to get such an amazing shot, weeks, if not months, of preparation and training. And that's not unlike the journey that Brown Advisory has taken in our own digital transformation, and I'm going to share that story with you today. And finally, how could I miss cloud computing, cloud data warehouse, a solution called Snowflake, and I don't think that metaphor really needs much explanation. And so it's with that backdrop that I really want to introduce today's topic, titled Journey to the Cloud, Building an Analytics Program with Snowflake and Tableau. So my name's Charles Severn. I'm a technology manager at Brown Advisory. I'll be your guide on today's journey. And I have to say it's great to be back here at Tableau Conference. I've been using Tableau for about 4 years. I've been on many projects and many journeys. There's a picture of me up here from one of those journeys earlier this year. It's not Argentina, it's actually Rocky Mountain National Park, not too far from here. Hopefully everyone had a chance to hear Tableau CEO Adam Silpsky speak yesterday. You know, what an amazing talk. He spoke about the story of code girls, the untold story of the American women code breakers of World War II. You know, what an amazing and powerful story of the group of women that used data to help crack the Axis code. And so like Adam, my computer science alma mater, James Madison University down there, was an all-girls school during World War II. And I know that women from Virginia contributed to those efforts, and you know, what an amazing feat. So my role at Brown Advisory, you know, I wear many different hats, and I get to work with many different departments and business units around the firm to help them solve their business needs and understand their systems and data. And it's an exciting time to be in technology, especially in finance. There's automation, artificial intelligence, blockchain, biometrics, cybersecurity. But data is really my passion. And you know, what I've come to find out is data really powers everything. And the rate of change we're seeing for data and technology in general is just moving very fast. Things that used to take 24 hours, you know, that was okay, but not anymore. An hour, you know, that's better, but still maybe not good enough. You know, organizations are asking for that information instantly. And take this chart, for example, keeping with the financial theme. In the 1960s, you know, the average life expectancy of a company in the S&P 500 index was 60 years. And by 2012, that was less than 20 years. So imagine that. 25 companies this year will drop out of the S&P 500. Some estimates by 2027, 75% of the companies currently quoted in the S&P 500 will disappear. And so this rate of change is driving digital disruption. It's pretty much universal for every organization. And personally, you know, I see these actually as exciting times. I look forward to tackling these challenges, and we're going to touch on some of them today. So quick agenda here. We're going to go through an introduction to Brown Advisory, you know, our data warehouse journey. Really, most of the talk today is going to be about our journey to the cloud using Snowflake, Snowflake and Tableau, and if we have time, a quick demo at the end. So for starters, Brown Advisory is an investment management firm first. We were founded within Alex Brown and Sons, and we partner with our clients to make a material and positive difference in their lives by delivering a combination of first-class investment performance, creative and thoughtful strategic advice, and the highest level of service. And our mission is to meet these tactical performance advice and service needs of our clients. And with that mission comes our purpose to leave a positive and material legacy for the families and institutions with which we are so fortunate to work. It can be a difficult job at times, especially when navigating the ups and downs of the financial markets that we saw so vividly on the first slide. Continuing on about Brown Advisory, we are a private independent investment firm, and we feel that our business strategy really strengthens our ability to drive value to our clients. And part of that is with our culture. It has many elements, and so whether it's always putting our clients first or embracing outside views, but a really key element is the entrepreneurial spirit which started when we became a private firm in 1998. And it's with that entrepreneurial spirit that our technology team approaches each and every new challenge. As a member of the technology team, I'm responsible for helping our CTO implement our multi-year digital transformation. And with that transformation, we have a number of core tenets that hopefully many of you can relate, as I'm sure you all have similar tenets of your technology initiatives. And our cloud data warehouse journey and analytics program, I think, hits on each and every one of these tenets. First is the easy button. We want to make things easy. We want to make the user experience easier, more intuitive, more efficient for our clients and colleagues by addressing pain points. Additionally, is to build the highway. We are on a multi-year digital transformation journey where we want to architect the foundation of our systems and data. We want it to be a flexible and scalable solution for the future, and we want to have an intentional design towards our systems and technology. Our inclination is to adopt best-in-class solutions versus building our own. We seek out those best-of-breed solutions without bias, and our strategy is to leverage really secure cloud solutions. We want to be cloud first. Everyone's going to the cloud. We're no different. And finally, data. That's probably why we're all here today. Data is the new oil. We know it's valuable, but it's nearly useless unless we can refine it. And we feel like data can be a strategic strategic advantage and differentiator for us if we can build the right data platform. So like most organizations, though, we're struggling with our data. We're struggling to get value from our data. We have a broad vision of how we'd like to become a data-driven organization, but we need the right tools and solutions to get us there. Additionally, we really strive for all things we're doing to be business-driven. So we want to leverage business technology partners for input, feedback, communication, and to drive adoption. Brown Advisory, we don't have a huge technology team. We're actually pretty small. And so the business drives a lot of our needs, our requirements, our communication, timing, and training. And that background is really where our journey begins. So our goal and what we've been tasked to try to do is to build an enterprise data warehouse platform that harnesses our organizational data and drives value from the business. So oftentimes this is kind of called going from hindsight to foresight. We want to improve process efficiencies, enhance the customer experience, and development of new products. I'm sure all of you can relate, and you're probably somewhere on this chart. And so why do we want to do this? The problem or our need? Data can be an incredible bridge to bring people together. When one person thinks it's A and someone else thinks it's B, those are opinions. But when you can bring data into the picture, those opinions can be changed into truths. No matter how good you are at understanding your data, we all have biases, and we don't always get it right. But data has the ability to transcend those biases and cut straight to the truth. And that's why it's important to us, and that's why we're here today on this journey. And I know you are all here because you care about working with data to improve your organization and the way in which you respond to your customers, to make yourselves more successful and to get better answers out of your data and drive your organization forward. So every organization needs to start somewhere. When Brown Advisory started this journey, I think we were definitely on the lower left-hand corner of that, and we are still on this journey. So whether you're a startup that's looking to work with data or an enterprise organization that has an on-prem data warehouse and you're looking to do more with analytics and move to the cloud, whatever your objective is, I'm hopeful that we can share my story today and help advance your data journey forward. So as I mentioned in our core tenets, we want to be cloud first, and I want to share a story of some of the traditional data warehouse challenges and the way that we feel the cloud technology can address these challenges. And if you've worked with data systems or databases before, I'm sure you may have experienced one, two, or maybe even all of these challenges. And the first is really complexity. So our environments are certainly more complex than they need to be right now. We have all kinds of different databases, all kinds of different systems, different methods for transforming that data, and we're really looking for an ideal solution that only includes one component. And so lots of management is spent trying to store data and correct it, and the complexity of those systems and the data model really lack the agility that we need. We can't react to our unexpected changes in the business. For example, if we acquire a new business and our user base all of a sudden doubles, we can't grow to that. Second is really the scalability. There's a lot of bulky, costly, and hardware components that go in with large on-prem data solutions. So not being able to support our growing business. And so the advantages of the cloud really is the ability to scale. And a term that I've oftentimes heard used before is the effectively infinite resources that the cloud can provide. So you can imagine yourself as a data scientist or a data engineer with the ability to tap into that effectively infinite resource that the cloud provides. So obviously as a technologist at heart, I know that nothing is truly infinite, but the cloud technologies really can get us pretty close. And so for the first time, we're seeing that those resources are available on demand. And the traditional warehouses oftentimes struggle to take advantage of what the cloud can provide, that instant scalability. Additionally, there's rigid cost, right, which we're forced to keep systems running 24/7. The cloud provides a unique ability to scale really when you need it to scale. So if you have a data warehouse that's running during the day, or if you're doing an ETL process, and you don't need that resources later on at night, you can turn that off. And the goal of that elasticity is really to simplify the capacity planning exercise. So how many resources do you need right now to get the task done? And if that changes, can I instantly scale up or scale down? And data analytics is the perfect use case for this elasticity. We all have reports that might be running during the day, and they're not running at night, so you don't need that work. You can turn those resources down. And that really introduces the second to last challenge we had with our traditional data warehouse was the cost. So the cloud gives us a utility-based pricing model. So you only pay for what you need when you need it. If the business stops processing data at 10 p.m. every night, you can just turn those resources down and you're no longer paying for it. And finally, the complexity of data. So the diversity of data is important to us. We have a lot of different data in all kinds of different systems. We need to deal with all types of data, structured, semi-structured data, and we want a single place to store all of that. So again, why data in the cloud? It really gives us the ability to instantly scale up based on the needs. We're not limited by storage or compute. We can easily communicate that cost of data to our business. And being a small organization, we really look for data warehouse as a service, something that enables us to grow new generations of insights. And so if you fast forward, really the answer for us we found was Snowflake and its cloud data warehouse. So our organization found that taking the advantages of Snowflake and those cloud computing capabilities really offered us the ideal solution. And so why we really found it's the ideal solution is because, first, it's fully ANSI SQL compliant. So if you've used any other SQL database, this should feel really familiar to you. There's no need to hire or learn new skills. And that worked really well for our organization because we had an existing SQL knowledge base in-house. So tables, views, schemas, everything was pretty much what we expected it to be. And Snowflake is a relational database, and it delivers pretty much what we would expect from a relational database. Specifically, tools like Tableau can be made very easy to work with Snowflake, again, which is super appealing to our organization because we also already had Tableau in-house. One of the differences we found with Snowflake, though, it was one of the cloud data warehouse systems that was built for the cloud. And what we liked about it was it wasn't built upon any other existing technologies, but was built for the cloud to solve the problems we just discussed around elasticity and scalability. Additionally, we really like the data warehouse as a service, and so there's no need for us to worry about upgrades or patching or maintenance, no indexes or backups or pruning. So as an administrator, we're kind of freed from the janitorial tasks of managing a database, and we can really focus on the data and the business needs. So that allows us to get back to our core tenet of our digital transformation, which is to buy versus build. Additionally, to be cloud first. And we want the technology to kind of solve our problems. We want to run the queries and have the platform basically take care of the rest. And so we want to focus on driving value to our business needs. And with the built-in security and everything that comes along with that, Snowflake was the perfect choice for us. And so now that you know the ending and kind of how we got to Snowflake, I want to take you back to the beginning of our journey first so we can discuss how we got there and how we made the decisions. So what I provided here is really a roadmap for your data warehouse journey. And the first thing we really talk about is defining our business needs and objectives. So one of the things we did very early on was data discovery. So we just had to find and migrate all the relevant data to the new system and the new cloud data warehouse so we can generate the reports and insights that are required. And so many organizations spend a great deal of time just trying to discover what data they have across their organization and whether it'll be relevant or useful to their analysts. There's several tools that can help you with the data discovery. We chose kind of the old-fashioned way to go around to the different business units and talk about what data they had. The next step is really to define your use case. Figure out what's your use case for moving to the cloud, what's your use case for the data warehouse, what do you want the system to do. Moving on, you can move into product evaluation and selections, which we'll touch on a little bit deeper. You can set up the environment, do your data modeling, connect to your ETL or ELT solutions, and then finally, connect to your analytics platforms. So for our organization, this is kind of what the original data discovery looked like. We identified 26 data domains, over 100 sub-data domains, and this was really important for us because this was the first time someone had actually taken all of the data at Brown Advisory and put it into a box and be able to kind of classify those data. We also knew as a part of our data analytics program, we wanted to have our analytical layer, which is Tableau, as well as data governance and data management. And so our current use case before we moved to Snowflake and moved on our journey to the cloud data warehouse was really one that's probably not too uncommon for a small organization. We had 15 to 20 major financial systems and enterprise applications. We had some on-prem and some cloud applications. Many of those were structured, some were unstructured, 4 to 6 terabytes of data. Our reporting was largely kind of siloed reporting we did in our transactional management systems. We were using Tableau as well as SSRS and other tools to kind of directly query against those transactional systems. So we lacked a true data warehouse to be able to really give us the power that we needed. And one of the biggest challenges we had without having a data warehouse was the ability to blend data from all those different systems together. So if we had something in the accounting system and we had another data we wanted to blend from the CRM system, we couldn't do that very easily. And then from an ETL landscape, we used several different tools, and most of our integrations were point-to-point at that point in time. So we had single applications talking to each other. And our goal with the data warehouse was really to move data analytics into the cloud. So we want to focus on the data, not the infrastructure, get the scalability, modernize our data platform, replace some of our legacy data warehouse applications, get data consolidation, and build the analytic capabilities to offer insights into our business and to ultimately become a data-driven organization. And now that we've established those goals, our next step on our journey was to start with the evaluation. And so this is listing some of our Brown Advisory's cloud data warehouse evaluation criteria. And choosing a cloud data warehouse provider can be difficult because there's a large number of factors that go into that decision. Personally, I'm a pretty indecisive person, and this cloud data warehouse evaluation was difficult for me. Picking the right platform can be challenging, but it really doesn't have to be. It pays to know the popular cloud data warehouse key features and criteria to use when evaluating them. So having gone through that process, I can say that there's a lot of really good choices. And if you look at the top right kind of quadrant of the Gartner Magic Quadrant, you'll see it's filled with good options. And so I looked it up last night and counted, and there's actually 8 different products that are in that leader quadrant. And so I encourage you, if you're going through your own data warehouse evaluation, to really look at the different tools, see what's out there, build your criteria. And so I'll walk through some of these criteria and specifically how it relates to Brown Advisory and the things that we were looking for with our data criteria. And so the first is the data integration, right? So you have to think about the types of data, the formats, the sizes, beyond just the data that you know about, but what are the other things that the product might natively support? And also think about the types of data integrations, the mechanisms, external sources you can use to bring that data in. So Snowflake provides us with the ability to kind of ingest and query raw data, JSON, XML, Avro, or SQL data without really transforming it. Additionally, during our evaluation, we looked at the performance and scalability. So we tried to look at all the different products that were out there and see which ones really met our needs as far as growing and scaling. Security is always an important criteria for any data evaluation, and the maintenance as well. So once we chose Snowflake, we kind of landed on what should our modern data landscape look like. And this is really the kind of standard guide of what a true modern data landscape would look like. So on the left-hand side, you have all your systems. Those could be databases, applications, web interfaces, Internet of Things, devices, anywhere you have data. Those were all of our data domains. Some of those were flat files, some of those were on shared drives or OneNote. Data comes in all different sizes, all different formats. In the middle, you kind of have your ETL or your ELT systems, and those are all the different products and tools you use to move that data from your on-prem systems, from your web applications, from other cloud SaaS applications into the data warehouse, into our Snowflake environment. And so the core of that environment is Snowflake. In the middle there, you see those cloud data warehouses. And from there, we can put the data into cloud data marts and ultimately distribute it out to the business through Tableau reports and visualizations. And so touching a bit on Snowflake's architecture and why Brown Advisory really liked it, it's a hybrid, traditional kind of shared disk architecture and shared nothing database architecture. So there's, at the core of it, the data is stored in S3, and that's kind of the bottom layer there you see. And then the heart of the transformation, the heart of that data is stored in S3 blobs. And Snowflake, we liked it because it was built for the cloud. It wasn't built on top of any other existing data warehouse platforms. And so traditional databases would write to file, but Snowflake takes advantage of the immutability of S3 to store that data as objects. And you can also see from the middle gray bar there, Snowflake actually separates the compute from storage. So we could separate that compute cost from the storage cost. And at the top layer, we had the cloud services layer. So what did this all really mean for Brown Advisory? Well, for us, the architecture, Snowflake handles all of that. So we didn't have to worry about partitioning databases, creating things like that. the platform really just works. It was a turnkey solution, and with our small team, that's why it was really appealing to us. There's a ton of other additional features that come to Snowflake beyond just its kind of cloud data warehouse. There's a lot of scalability, concurrency. It has the ability to work with JSON. I've listed just some of those up here today. They're doing a lot of new and exciting things too with Snowflake around data sharing, where they're recently launching some new programs around how you can share your data with other organizations. And we really like the direction that they're going, that it's a turnkey and easy solution for us. So with that, if this works. So I've logged in here to my demo Snowflake environment. And what you can see here is it looks pretty much like a basic SQL environment. If you've used SQL before, you can easily work with Snowflake. It's a simple UI, looks similar to any other SQL interface. So you can see here just basic selecting some data from a table. You can see how much data is there. And so what we liked is Snowflake really logically separates that data from the storage. So I've got a database here. And you can see I've got some demo DB that has some JSON data. I also have a database here with some sample data. Now, one of the great things is this is a trial account. I set this up on the plane ride out here. Anyone can go online, can set up a free trial. I think they give you something like 400 credits or $400 worth. And the great thing is they preload all this data for you. So you don't need to actually do any data loading if you want to do just some trials to see what the platform's like. And so they've got some tables here, and you can see there's all kinds of different data sizes. Some of these tables, 1 billion records, all the way up to, my favorite table here I like to query. There's actually 288 billion records in this one table, 10 terabytes of data. So, with that free trial, you can really evaluate the tool. You can see all the different capabilities of loading and reporting on such a large amount of data. And so this data is actually from the TPC benchmark, which created some benchmark data. And this is really felt natural to us using this during our evaluation because it's a relational database. They've got sales, they've got orders and line items. Next came kind of configuring our data warehouse in Snowflake. And Snowflake says warehouses, that's really synonymous with your compute clusters and compute power. And so this is really the only screen that our data warehouse and data analysts needed to work with. So this is where we can compute the different sizes of Snowflake and the clusters that are there, and this really simplifies everything for us because we didn't need to do a lot of setup or have to learn new tools. So that's really why we liked the product, because it was super easy. Additionally, one thing which we haven't gotten a whole lot into, but I think it's really exciting, and I want to share with you, is the ability to kind of use JSON data when you are querying Snowflake. So I've got some sample data here. It's just weather data. And if I pull it up, you can see here's the data. I'm using my warehouse to query it, and it's semi-structured. I've got all this JSON data loaded in there. And Snowflake can kind of naturally, instantly process that data. So I can take that JSON data and easily just convert it into a table that you could give to the business user. So there's a couple advantages of this, right? So if you bring JSON data in, as your source system changes, you just have that one column where the data is being stored. So if it's a Salesforce system and the data is coming in, if you add a new column and you want to have your business users have the ability to query and to show reports on that, you don't need to make any changes to your ETL process. The data is already there. You just need to make a change to your view and expose that column to the business user. So we found this helpful for us as we're thinking about our data journey and the ability to do that. There's also just a ton of other really cool features here. We can monitor the cost of our environment. We can see all the queries. We can see how much money we're spending. And it's, again, Super easy tool for us to use, and that's really why we like it. You know, and lastly, the Snowflake and Tableau really work well together. I remember my first Tableau conference, Adam Silsky was kind of talking about a computer science class that used to teach Excel. And so today, you know, colleges, high schools, even grade schools, they teach Excel. But in 1986, you know, they were teaching Excel in computer science classes. And you know, if you would have predicted in 1986 that computer science would be, that in 1986, if you would have predicted that Excel would be on hundreds of millions of desktops around the world, you know, that would have been crazy, but it happened. And, you know, he said that's what happens when a solution to a critical data problem appears. And so we really love kind of the vision that Tableau and Snowflake have together. You know, colleagues at our organizations that would, you know, never consider themselves data experts are using Tableau, and they're using Snowflake to create those analytical use cases. So I'm not sure about Snowflake. Maybe one day it'll be just like Tableau. It'll be like Excel, and every user and every employee at our firm will have their own data warehouse and their own databases. But it is super easy to use, and it's not uncertain to think about that possibility. And so, you know, that really aligns with our core tenets, right? We want to make things easy. We don't have a big team. We're looking for everything as a service. We want the database. We want the tools to just work. We want our business users to focus on the business, focus on driving revenue, focus on, you know, serving their clients, and not have to focus on, you know, building data warehouses and all the technical. So connecting Snowflake to Tableau was super easy, right? It's got its own native connector. You just put in your username and password. And I don't think there's much really easier than that. Additionally, you know, with the demo environment, you can connect, and you know, I like the way that Tableau is doing more to drive the data modeling, right? This allows the technology team to not be a roadblock and to expose these features directly to the business. So if you need to create, we can focus on getting our data, putting it into Snowflake, putting it into the data warehouse, and then enable our business users to really be more self-service, create their own data models. And we found that both the tools, Snowflake and Tableau, are kind of helping us on that journey and being very self-service and easy to use. So I showed you some of the things in Tableau, how you can manage your Snowflake costs, but there's also a free Snowflake dashboard that the team at Snowflake and Tableau got together to create a Tableau dashboard that allow you to kind of track and see how you are spending your dollars on Snowflake. And so there's some best practices we found with looking at Snowflake and how you use it, especially around cost. And one of those is to kind of know your cost drivers. So what we did is you can separate different warehouses for your loading data versus querying the data. So you have one warehouse that can be spun up at night that can be used to load all your data, and you can have another smaller data warehouse that's used during the day to query and run reports for the business. And so that really gives us, you know, pinpoint accuracy. If a business user comes along and says, hey, we have this big process, or we want to bring another set of data and join it together, you know, we can tell the business exactly how much it's going to cost to do that every night, and exactly, you know, the resources or the side of the data warehouse that they need. You know, another best practice for managing your costs is to kind of identify your most expensive queries. And so a lot of these additional reports that Tableau has provided, you can download these. At the end, I'll have a link to the slide. You can download these reports. You can plug them directly into your Snowflake, and it's real easy to query. Additionally, you can kind of tune the warehouse for the cost. So you can look at the utilization, figure out which warehouses might be up and costing you money but not actually being used. And you can look at the query time. And so these reports all give us the opportunity to look at our environment and understand how we're using it. And finally, the adoption. So this last report kind of shows us how we see different people using the Snowflake environment. And with the performance monitoring dashboard, you can dig into the system to kind of see how you're meeting your SLAs that you've established. So using Tableau's drill down capability, you can identify any workload outside of the SLAs that could be optimized with a different warehouse, or take action on any outliers that are kind of skewing the experience for your stakeholders. Additionally, as a technology team, we also use some server admin dashboards that we've created to kind of monitor our Tableau environment as well. So these are a set of dashboards that we built, and if you send me a message afterwards, I'm happy to share these with you. These are just some cool tools that we've created to kind of monitor and track our Tableau environment and the usage. So the first one's a daily report. We can see the KPIs we have identified, when users are hitting the server, what are the most popular workbooks. We also have a weekly report. We can see concurrency, how many users are logging in, how often they're logging in, the growth of our Tableau workbooks, what are the most popular workbooks, server hits. And as a technology team, we use these to monitor our Tableau environment, monitor if we need to scale resources either on the data warehouse side or on the report side. Even going out to monthly views, finding out the concurrency, finding out how many more resources we need out on our Tableau server. And I think as we saw during the keynote today, Tableau's offering a lot more of these within their own data management tools, but we even built reports, dashboards to go down on an individual report or an individual workbook level to find out exactly which ones are being used. Those are just some of the ways I think we're using Tableau and Snowflake together. So wrapping it up here, kind of some of the best practices we've identified throughout our journey was just really to define your use case, define your evaluation criteria, make use of the free trials. Tableau offers the Snowflake offers tons of free trials, but the other cloud data warehouse providers do as well. So you can get on there, you can understand the different platforms. Again, personally for us, Brown Advisory, we liked Snowflake the best because it was super easy to use and we didn't need to ramp up any new skills or resources. Also, there's a ton of resources out there, right? Snowflake has a ton of resources about how to use their data warehouse, videos, trials, YouTube things, and Tableau has a ton of resources as well that they've created to help show you how you can connect the two systems together. So I want to thank you all for being here today, listening to our journey. I wish you all the best of luck on your own data warehouse journeys using Snowflake and Tableau. And with that, we'll open it up to any questions.